So my dad is the youngest of 8, 3 boys, all the youngest, 2 of them put to the dairy, and my father started the pig farm. And so right now we're at 375 sows. We're fair to finish, and that means we have the sows who raise the babies all the way down to market cost. And so me and my brother, now we are starting the succession to take over the farm now. And so Ontario pork right now, so there's 997 pork farmers currently in Ontario. We raised just under 6 million hogs last year, so just under 20,000 full-time jobs. We have 1.3 billion in GDP and 3.78 billion in economic output just for 2022 alone. So Lambton County is actually one of the top hog producers in Ontario. And one of the problems we actually face right now is packing plants. We don't have enough packing plant facilities in Ontario to actually finish all of our hogs. So about 20% of the hogs raised in Ontario are shipped elsewhere. That's Manitoba, Quebec, the US right now. And another problem with that is ASF, African swine fever. And so that is, the closest it is right now is Dominican Republic. It wiped out half of China's hogs in 2018. They're still dealing with the repercussions of that in Southeast Asia right now. They are working on vaccines, but we don't really want it coming here, and the fear is that it can go to Central America from Dominican to the US. And if that happens, borders can essentially shut down. So we really don't want that. We would love to have that packing plant capacity here in Ontario, the jobs here. So right now that's our kind of biggest industry downfall. We would like that raised in Ontario, processed in Ontario, sold in Ontario. So we don't have to rely on the US or all like success, which is having their own, they're decreasing their capacity, olive oil is shutting down. So we have all kinds of fluctuations in markets. Pig producers are losing money because they are forced to sell their weaners or market pigs shipped to the US that they're losing money. It actually, so in 2020, shipped about 2.7 million pigs that were raised here to outside of province. And that actually cost the industry, or that cost us $73.1 million just to ship them out of province. So that's lost revenue for the pig farmers, that's lost revenue for Ontario. That's kind of where we're at here. Our family is fortunate. We deal with Conestoga, and that is a co-op that's owned by the farmers. So we are fortunate where we don't have those big, huge fluctuations. But my fellow farmers, they deal with the market, and it's not like dairy has the quota system where they have a safe kind of market. Pigs are not like that. The cost and what you get back fluctuates so much. It's so stressful on pig farmers' mental health. What's it going to be next week? What's it going to be next month? So it's just, we'd like more security. The government has done a great job in giving us that with programs and such, but there's just, like, do you guys know what to do if you see a wild boar? Eat them.
First shoot them.
So if you see one, maybe shoot it, but if there's a group, what you'll do if you shoot at it is pigs are so adaptable that they will learn. They're like, oh, I can't. They can be night and day. They'll transition. They're opportunistic animals, and they will disperse and they'll turn nocturnal if they're hunted during the day. So Ontario has a really, really good job in their program against the wild boar invasion, whereas I'm sure you've heard the helicopter story, like helicopter shootings in Texas. That just makes the population boom. Pigs.
Oh. They're
It
smart,
takes
eh?
6
Pigs are
months
smart,
to
right?
maturity. 10 pigs, 6 months, more 10 pigs for each of them. It's just, they can boom, population boom. So Ontario is doing a really good job in that aspect, but nobody knows what to do if they see a wild boar. Not everyone knows. So there is a email that you can, it's very scarce to find it, but it's wildpigsontario.ca, I believe, and reported sightings.
Is there a lot of wild pigs? Because I've never ran into one.
No, there's a few I think the closest one reported was in Lucan.
Oh.
And that's the only reported. No one knows reported. But so we don't want to have like wild. They're not a native species, right? So we don't want them out in the wild. Yes.
So one of the opportunities that exists, there's not enough pork processing capacity. There's not enough chicken processing capacity in this area. There's not enough beef processing capacity in this area. And beef exports to places like South Korea, etc., are increasing at 80%. There's a huge economic opportunity there. Sarnia Lambton is friendly to farmers because a lot of people here are farmers. And so Dan, that will be one of the things that you and I can talk about, is having a processing hub here. We've got the space, we've got the people that need the processing capacity, we know how to do it. So from a licensing perspective, there was a fellow from Eugene that brought the Riding Regency slaughterhouse in Toronto, which gives him the ability to expand into an alternate location without starting over and going through the whole thing. So you could use that as a springboard, and that's one of the things I think would be a great economic driver for us, and would solve a lot of the problems that we're talking about.
And there is a group of producers, they're called Next Gen Pork Producers, and we've just kind of like started this group to try and solve our own problem. So they're in the process, but they're called Next Gen because they don't think they're going to solve it themselves. I think that they're doing it for the next generation. Because it is a long process of doing it.
And I think you hit the point where you're with Conestoga. And my mom was on the board many years ago, and she was one of, when they were discussing that with the processing, they need it for the hog industry. And there was a lot of farmers in the 80s. It was very tough in the hog industry. The borders got closed down. They didn't do it for themselves. They did it for the next generation. Yeah. And that's where you're seeing right now is farmers in Lambton County are able to benefit from Conestoga, who has found a market outside. Yeah. So you guys produce what is being demanded. So you guys are matching what your production to what your processing is doing.
Yeah.
Very similar to supply management, but again, you guys put your own money there, and that's exactly what we need to, I see needing to do more of that.
Oh yeah, and east of Kingston, they did make a hub. So there is one there to use as an example.
Yeah.
One of the challenges that we get in this is that we don't have enough skilled labor in the butchering process and the processing business. So I know Benfaw's got a program for butchering, and I believe a couple of the other community colleges may have started one as well. But skilled labor, it comes down, and this is an issue with pretty well everything across the board, it doesn't matter, but skilled labor, skilled butchers are in demand, and they just aren't out there. So starting a processing plant is great, and I'm 100% behind it, but you need the people to be able to do the job.
Well, and Lambton College has been very agile. When there's something that comes along that's new, whether it's green energy, digital economy, you name it, in creating programs that will generate whatever we need. So I would say, Rob Cardis is the guy to talk to as this sort of idea moves forward.
The pork we're doing is not about supply management, and what about the roadblock, if there is, to that goal? Like, feathers got it, dairy has it, why not pork?
See, with Conestoga, they kind of have it, but there's just so much. The market is just, it changes so frequently.
I know, that's why supply management would change that.
Yeah, so I see like a co-op, another co-op packing plant, would be a good idea. It's where it's like how Onstead, how they did the co-op, right? If the packing plant's making money, you're making money. If they're not, then you're not making money. which works out good. We have a good relationship. They know what they're going to be sent because you told them what you're going to send. You forecasted that months in advance. So that works out where they can predict it, whereas you just have a package and next thing you know, they're flooded with pigs 1 week and none the next. So that co-op gives you the strength in predicting what to expect and to maintain that steady flow. Any questions for our pig farm? Yeah.
So you mentioned there's a lot of stress involved in pork production, and you and your brother are taking over for your family operation. Tell me about, what is it that you love about the hog industry that's, again, right now the market's down, that in the hog industry the market's, the highs are really high and the lows can be really low. So tell me about what you think is what's driving you to take over the family farm.
The animals.
Yeah,
I love pigs.
Yeah.
I like caring for the cows and the pigs, and I like seeing them grow, and even seeing them grow that fast is the gratification that I love.
Yeah.
We're boosted out of our operation. We transitioned from gestation rates to Lisa House in 2013. So that's another thing that we want to do.
How many acres are you running?
We don't have enough. We owe 300 and we rent 100. So we still have to buy in. There's 3 dairy farms within 2 kilometers of us, so it's a high competition for land.